Okay.
There you go.
Cool.
That's my forehead. That's my forehead.
That is a good looking forehead.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I do mold on my own.
Little bit of this, little bit of that.
Ari, keep asking
Congrats
those
on
good
9K.
questions you
Thank you,
usually
sir.
have.
Thank you. Finally made it.
Man, 9K, dude. That's big. 9K,
It's
man.
exciting, man. It's exciting.
Banana slam jam.
You know, last time we had our nice refresher talking all
great.
about, you know, the things that may have eluded you and what you remembered as priorities from me, and me just laying down some strict guidelines of things you need to make sure you clean up. So how's it been
Yes.
going?
It was
since then?
great. I think it's just also feels really good to just have one clear direction on how to go about the game. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, there are many ways to play Dota. There are many styles. I mean, and I'm not saying that one style is better than the other, but there's just many ways to go about the game. But when I had the refresher with you, it just felt nice to just be clear with what I want to do in the game. Like I'm just like, all right, this is how I'm gonna execute, and it felt nice. And that's what you've been teaching me from all our sessions. It was just like, and something kind of clicked for me when you said farm, just farm better than opponent. I mean, I know you've been telling me this for a while, but it's just the concept of just getting more farmed than your opponent just feels it's just a lot clearer in terms of execution. It's like, all right, if we kill them, we get more farm. If we take up the map, we get more farm. If we just have more gold and experience than them, we're gonna kill them and we're gonna win. So it's just kind of all coming together in a nice way, and it just feels nice to just be clear.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Like whenever I learn new things in Dota, I actually just got done doing a little replay review for a guy, and there were a lot of issues he was facing as a mid laner, and I was just like, man, your decision making on how to rotate and all this stuff is so difficult because you're not pushing the mid wave, and it's like sometimes when I just have higher level players bring attention to something that I didn't realize was so important, suddenly I realize how many mistakes I'm making that revolve around that one thing, right? It's just one thing where I'm like, holy crap, if I just do this better. It's like as a support, if I tell you you should be trying to lane as little as humanly possible and only be in lane if you absolutely need to be, I feel like that's actually news to most low MMR supports. Like I actually don't think the majority of low MMR support players in Dota think that way. Like they are trained to think that their carry needs babysitting and that they're supposed to be there as often as possible and they're supposed to, just be that sacrificial lamb to make sure their carry gets a good start at all times. And instead, what ends up happening is their carry ends up under leveled, and then maybe the carry has good farm, but then the support tries to go leave and they can't leave because the carry they leave is so far behind that they have to go back and help them. So it's like it's kind of funny because I was watching Nico Baby's carry course. I got asked to do a review of his carry course, and something he talked about from the carry role is that everything he wants to do, he wants in lane, in game, etc., especially early and mid game, was to make it so his support could do whatever they chose to do, rather than feeling the need to be around him. It was a choice. It's like if they want to gank for him, if they want to help him, that's nice. But whatever he does doesn't require them to help and enables them to be able to be allowed to do whatever they think is best at that point in the game. He's like, these are the type of decisions that kind of trap your support, and these are the type of decisions that allow them to do whatever. And there were a lot of little things. And I think that ties a lot into you as a support player to understand that you have choices, that your carry doesn't always need you. And then once you kind of understand these concepts, we can start talking about the benefits and the negatives of all these choices, right? Because then also the choices are made differently based on what hero you are. It's like
That is true.
Certain heroes are more likely to do the ganking portion. Some heroes are more likely to kind of chill, whatever. So do you have... Okay, so I know I kind of took the reins there after asking you how it's been, but Did you have any specific struggles or questions coming into today, or what are you thinking?
I think right now I really like this format of like, Ari, work on this. I'll see you in 2 weeks, and I'm
Okay.
just like working on that. Like
Yeah.
I like that. I really like that,
Do you feel
and
like it's worked better than the format we kind of used in the first series or first
no,
season?
that worked really well as well. It's just that coming from the um just being in so many different directions, it felt nice to really just focus on one specific factor. And I guess the playing a lot of Dota has really helped, because I play like 3 times a week, like sometimes 6 to 8 hours just
Okay.
playing Dota straight.
Yeah.
So I have been playing a lot. I think I love this. All right, this is what you need to work on, and now we're gonna work on this. I like it. I like this setup. So I mean, I just want to get this right, this 10 minutes in lane right. I
Okay.
know I could have denied the range creep more, but this was a Jakiro game. But right now my priority was basically it's just revolving around pulling as much as I can. Of course, denying the stacking, and warding and blocking off
The big
the
camp?
big camp.
Yeah, just
Yeah, man.
overall denying it, like not allowing them to pull it. However, you need to do that, right?
Yes.
So okay, let's check it out. Let's check out the game. I
Yeah,
like
I
the
know
starting
it's
items
not
against Pudge.
Yes.
Oh, you're not even in lane against Pudge. Either way.
This was a what's the word? Two Archons. I'm a Guardian, and my carry's an Archon.
Gotcha.
This this was an Archon for support.
Damn, Ari denying.
Yo, bro.
Dude, you just got two
telling you,
denies
man.
first wave. That's
Yo, that's how we.
That was
Coach,
hype,
I
dude.
was working. I was working. I love how happy you look. You're just
Dude,
like,
I don't even see my supports go for denies sometimes, dude. I like that. Like last week, I was like, or last session, I said, man, you got to get the denies. Missed the pull a bit there. That's okay, but I was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
you just got to
missed
get.
it.
You got to like, you're a part of the lane, you know. Like you see
yes,
us
and
too.
look at me. Look at me just getting this eye. Like get away from
You're
us.
owning, man. You're owning. I'm not even kidding. This is good so far. Okay.
And I did some good smoke calls after this, like which I think got us, because it was against a Dusa and a Drought, the Drought. So we're just like, all right, we gotta get the farm away from the Dusa and everything. So
Great. So the thing about this lane here is that I need you to just always remember if the lane's pushing in that the big camp is a thing, right? You just always
Yes.
need to remember that, and I want you as a support to always be paying attention to what the lane's doing. However often you can update yourself, consider it like a web page that you're refreshing constantly so you know the current status, right? It's like,
okay,
is the lane pushing for me, against me? How much? How little? What's it going to do in like 10 seconds from now? Like, you just need to know, 10 seconds from now, these 3 creeps are going to be underneath your tower.
okay,
Right? Like, that's how what I mean by, know what it's going to be doing. So with that being said, your pathing here should always be down. Like, you should be going this way so that when the lane's pushing, the IO is not pulling.
yes.
Right? Because the IO does
the
end
pull-
up getting a big camp pull off here. Go ahead.
The pull times is 16 and 48. I think.
It's decently varied. Like depending on where they want to pull it into. Like if they pull it to here, it's different. If they pull it to like down here, it's a bit different. So it's like just to watch. Like the IO pulls it at 149 here. That's about as early as you can pull it. If they pull it at like 152, it could go up to here. So just to know that rather than exact timings, I just want you to realize for the time being that if the lane's pushing into me, I don't allow this to happen ever. Like,
Okay.
what I actually want to see from you is that there's going to be lanes that are really scary for you to contest, right? We talked about it a bit when you were the CM. It's like where if you were to take this path that I told you to take, say it was a Pudge 4, it's like the tide gushes you, and then the Pudge rots on top of you, and you just die.
Yes.
And then in that case, what you're learning is, okay, maybe I had to contest the pull from over here. Maybe like what you could do is if the IO was trying to pull, you could have, when the IO attacks, you could actually just attack the creeps and they'll aggro you instead.
Yes.
So that effectively denies the pull. There's a lot of ways to deny the pull. And so all I'm saying is that if you were to have this 100% priority, lanes pushing into you, this does not get pulled.
Okay.
You're gonna start running into all types of random problems about what's stopping you from. Remember how we talked about how we could consider blocking it with a ward,
Blocking the camp. Yes.
all these different options, and I remember you saying like, I could have positioned better. You're coming up with all these different ways that you could be better, about contesting the pull. And I just need you moving forward. Like you owned that first wave, and you were a bit late on that first pull, but I was really happy with that overall. And then you let the pull happen here, right? And it's like I think I could watch 10 of your games and never see this happen.
Okay.
Like this should just never happen. When I say never, if you're over here trying to contest it, and some wonky shit happens, and you accidentally let them pull, I'm okay with that. Okay. Right? Because then for me, I can talk to you about, hey, this is a tip or a trick you could have used to prevent it this time around.
I got it. I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. Yes.
Cool.
I got this for sure.
It's not that big of a deal in this sense because it's certain camps kill the wave more than others, but it's still not good. It's still not good at all. So you do pull. That's the proper response. Your Spectre's being allowed to contest. The Tide is being very polite and just not helping.
Yes. He was very nice.
Very nice Tide Hunter player here. Okay, so let's go back to your perspective. Oh, so you're actually going to stack a camp. Okay. Don't hate it.
Yeah. I was just like, hey, spec, do you need a spec? If they're not really, well, I'll stack anyway.
You did accidentally just block the small camp, by the way.
I did. That's what I wondered. I was just like, I walked by it. I thought, like, is there a ward? I honestly thought there was a ward there. I just realized I walked by it.
Exactly. So, you blocked the small camp on accident. Yes. What do you need to stop right now?
Deny. Wait. I need to stop the big camp. This
is what we talked about last session, Harry, man. There were a lot of things you were doing well, and I'm noticing you're going for denies, okay? I'm actually noticing it, so I can tell.
Yes.
So remember how you said, like, it was nice to have, like, one or two things to work on, right? And, that the goal here is that if I tell you 3 or 4 things, that from the first session, I'm definitely noticing the difference in denies. So now, we're going to tell you that the big camp is the #1 priority, okay? It does not get pulled. Anything else you're doing, whether or not that's pulling the small camp, whether or not that's denying creeps, whether or not that's harassing the offlaner, whether or not that's stacking jungle camps, all of that, it comes second to making sure this guy doesn't do this.
Okay.
So what I'm saying here is that you're going to find that there's times in the game where you are obligated to stop this guy from pulling the big camp, right? You're going to have to be physically there to stop him. But then if you are not physically required to be at the big camp, you're then having free reign of whatever you want to do, whether you think that's pulling small camp, whether you think that's harassing, whether or not you think that's stacking, whether or not that's checking a rune. All these things are options, right? After you've stopped this guy from pulling the big camp.
I will do this.
Okay. So all the other stuff I'm noticing is good, though. It's just
what I've been focusing is I just want to get a pull all the time. But I think this is the next thing I'm definitely going to work on.
You're doing a lot of the other things, and I'm noticing it. So I want you to know I am noticing it. I see So you thought he might have warded it. That's a reasonable sentry, because you barely blocked it yourself. It's a good pull, because you're... your Spectre is stuck up in a lane that she doesn't really want to be in. This is a bad trade by both of you, by the way. Even with this gank, it's a bit bad. So, I don't think it was your coaching session. I think it was actually another coaching session. Yeah, it is. So, I want you to understand, on average, this isn't like a strict rule, right? But it's an average thing. That how good or bad trades are for you is a gradient. Okay. Least likely to be good is here. More and more likely to be good is here. As you move from here to here, the trades are just going to be better.
Okay.
So I'm not telling you to never go for kills out here. I'm not telling you to never go for trades. But the benefit of you pulling that creep camp at 410 is that the next 30 seconds, the wave condition is going to improve. Okay, so what happens here is the lane's pushed, you recognize that, and you go pull.
Yes.
If you guys wait about 15 seconds, this lane is, look at the lane, right? There's more enemy creeps than there are yours. And your carry should understand this too. The lane is going to be back here in about 15 seconds. You see this, right? So if that's the case, there's just no reason to do anything out here. Because I'm telling you, on average, worse trades are here, and the farther it goes this way, the better.
Okay.
So the lane's really far out. They have more creeps than you. You've already fixed the problem. Like, you've already went and pulled.
Yes.
So the problem is fixed. It's addressed. Now we just have to wait for circumstances to be better. And that means the lane being back here. So, like, I guarantee if you guys had just let the lane push out to here, Spectre's, like, farming underneath tower, and the opponent continues to be aggressive, that this exact engagement that just happened here would happen. But it would probably cost you guys, like, less health and mana to get the same amount of kills. And if the engagement doesn't happen, your Spectre is just going to be farming 5 creeps underneath her tower.
Yes.
So it's like, either way, it's good, right?
Yes.
I just think that this is not necessarily even that great of a kill on Io, because after the kill, the Spectre used, like, all of her mana, and I think she has to salve up, too. Yeah, so it's just a lot of resources. So it's not necessarily that it's a bad kill. It's just that anything that happens farther back is good, and it could have been more efficient. And remember, we talked about more farm, more efficiency, right?
Yes, more farm, more efficiency, because that gets my carry in a tight spot being under the tower. That kill caused that. And
yeah, so right now, look at what happens after the kill, right? Does the lane look like you guys are now controlling it?
Yes, it looks...
It looks like it's near your tower, so the lane equilibrium is good for you, but the tide just spent the last 30 seconds hitting your Spectre. Not the other way around. Do you see that, actually? Because you guys used so many resources to get that first kill, and it was an inefficient kill. I don't know if that's, like, easy to describe. It's actually hard for me to conceptualize for you.
Can I try to describe what I'm thinking?
Yeah, go ahead.
Seeing what I'm understanding.
Absolutely.
It's inefficient because it causes my carry to not farm as efficiently as he could have. That kill caused that.
Yes.
And so it's leading up to the enemy carry being able to take up a lead or an advantage, or at least, like, kind of narrow down the lead they had in regards to farm and levels.
Yes. So the way I want you to look at it, that is absolutely true. This is something that is a lot about experience in Dota, okay? This problem or, like, lesson can only really be solved and learned by experience. What a lot of people don't tend to realize, so I gave you, like, a gradient, right? I told you, like, from here to here.
Yes.
What a lot of people don't realize is what determines how good or bad a death is, or how good or bad a kill is what the lane looks like 30 seconds after the kill.
Let me write that shit down.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to give you some... Okay, go ahead.
Good or bad kill is where the lane is going to be 30 seconds after that kill.
Yes. So what I mean by that is if you watch this last 30 seconds, your Spectre's chilling behind her tower, Tide's free farming the creep wave, it's shoving into your tower, he's farming every creep, he's gotten 2 denies, Spectre hasn't hit him a single time. And I told you the kill was bad, and that's just by my own experience. But this is an example of proof. Like, this is proof of concept, right? Is the Tide, who's level 4, to your Spectre, who's level 5, is free farming the lane for the next 30 seconds. So it's like, the best way to describe this is that I'm going to give you a bunch of indicators. The fact that the engagement's out here makes it statistically worse than if the engagement's out here, back here, right?
I like it.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's never right to go out here. The point being, though, is if you want to ask yourself in all of your games, Do I think, like, BSJ told me about this. Do I think those kills were good? Watch the game back, watch the replay, see the kill, and then see what the next 30 seconds looks like.
Mm.
And it's like, so
Okay.
what previously would have happened was if you guys didn't take that engagement, right? Say that engagement never happened. That wave was going to push into your tower. So the Spectre was going to be sitting underneath tower getting all those creeps,
Free
right?
farming.
And now, after getting the kill, it was actually Tidehunter free farming the creep wave.
Mm.
So this
I
is like a
understand.
perfect example of, if we look at the kill, what would have happened if we didn't go for it, and what would happen when we do go for it. We now can learn that it was a bad kill to go for. Does that make sense now?
Yes.
Okay.
Coach, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So if it were up to you, you would prioritize where the lane is over getting a possible kill. So let's say if everything were up to you, you would say, Ogre, don't gank right now. The lane's pushing. No need. Or maybe Ogre, just come 10 seconds after you plan to come.
What I am
Would that
telling
have been
you
like
is that every kill attempt, every aggression attempt is statistically better based on where the lane is. Based on how many creeps they have, based on how many creeps you have, based on where the lane equilibrium is. So it's not saying that the lane being better is more important. It's saying that the better the lane is, the more likely it is to be good. So I prioritize putting the lane good such that any kill attempt I go for is more likely to work.
I got it.
So
I understand.
with that being said, there are lanes where you're super far ahead, and if the guy's like out of position is a concept, right? There's no specific moment that an offlaner is out of position. It's not like I could tell an offlaner, hey man, at 5 minutes in, if you're right here, you're out of position. It's like every single lane, it's different. What defines, if you're out of position or not. But
you're teaching me the effects and what would be defined as okay, this is definitely a good kill.
yes.
And if it happened here, that would be a much better kill because
Yes.
it would affect your carries this
If
way.
Ogre
I get it.
walks behind Tide, right, it creates this opportunity where the lane's pushing into your tower, and if like Ogre coming at that moment is really good because if say Tide and IO see the Ogre on a ward, they're just gonna back off, and Spectre's now gonna get 5 creeps under tower for free. If they don't see it,
I get it.
then they're gonna die, right? So that's the kind of scenario where if you base your decisions on the lanes and what they're doing, the beauty of that is a lot of fights, a lot of skirmishes, engagements, ganks. If nothing happens, it's good for you.
I'm writing that shit down. 1 second. That is important. If you base your decisions, this is for the laning stage, right?
This is for literally the entire game.
Okay.
But
Coach.
the simplest examples are in the lane. So it's a great concept to hone in the laning stage. Because later on, you have to worry about all 3 lanes pushing. You have to worry about all 10 heroes in the game. But for right now, we're worried about, your 2v2 and your 1 lane, right? Oops, I just
much
fell
more
over.
efficient. You fell out?
Yeah, you're good. I just tried to rest
You're
my
9K,
arm
you'll
on
be
my-
fine.
Yeah, thank you. It's true. My emotions are at a high right now.
It's just like 9K.
I don't give a
doesn't
shit.
affect 9K. You base your decisions on what the lane is doing.
Be
then
right
that would
back,
make
Gary. Once.
No worries, man. If you base your decisions on what the lane is doing, then that would make all your decisions so much more efficient. Okay. All right, that works. Chat, we're basing it off.
Just letting you know, I slightly messed up, and I had failed to order my food like 2 hours ago, so I may have to be taking a brief snack enjoyment here.
Munch down, man. Munch down.
I did not have dinner yet, but
Take it, please.
yes. But so where were we? Oh, she's excited for her sweet potato fries. Here's your sweet potato fries.
Hello.
Harry says hello.
Hey, hello. Collie.
Yes, Collie. Okay, so are we good to move on from that concept, or did you have any final questions?
If you base your decisions, that felt like a really important thing you just said, because that decision making factors in on when we should go for a gank. that decision making factors in on when it's optimal to take a team fight, because if the lanes are pushing, then it just, at the end of the day, your lanes are pushing. Even if let's say they win the team fight for whatever reason, our lanes are pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they don't really get much objectives out of it.
Yeah. So the cool thing about, I'm gonna be quoting I watched, I already mentioned this. I watched the Nico Baby carry course, and I'm gonna quote him a lot because he's obviously like a tier 1 carry player, in competitive. And he had like 8 different videos on map rotations, taking proper team fights, farming patterns. He talked about all types of stuff. And you have to take my word on it that all of his reasoning, he referred to like good fights and bad fights. He talked about like good objectives and bad objectives. He talked about the right places to play on the map and why. And it all had to do with efficiently pushing lanes.
Efficiently.
Every single thing he talked about. I'm not even kidding. I'm not exaggerating. Like, if you watch the course, you'll see it. Like, he literally says, like, you know, this fight was good, or we rushed this fight because we didn't properly take care of top lane. And because we rushed this fight, it ended up being bad for us, you know? And he talks about all these good engagements of, because top lane's already pushed in, they were forced to respond to top, so we had a 5v4, and we won the fight. You know,
because there's more pressure on them to not be able to do what they want to do.
Exactly. And that is all based on lane pushing. And so it's like, in the laning stage itself, it's not necessarily about lane pushing, it's more so about where the lane is and managing the lane itself. Does that make sense?
Where the lane is and managing. That's during the laning phase?
Yeah, that's the laning phase. Like, later on, it's all about who pushes lanes better, but during the laning phase, it's all about who manipulates how much the lane is pushed better.
Laning phase. Man, I'm excited to work on this for the next, 2 weeks.
It's a concept that you're going to work on for 2 weeks, and then after we've moved on a bit, you'll realize you're going to have to work on it for, years.
Oh, I hear you. I hear
I still learn about this shit, man. I still learn about properly pushing lanes and stuff, yeah. It's actually one of the major concepts I've, honed a lot in the last year or so.
But that is just... But just getting so busy and pushing the lanes, but it's so easy to forget about.
It is, man. Every single time anything ends in the game, whether or not you just got a kill in lane, whether or not you just died, whether or not you just took a team fight, you should check the lanes. That's what you should do. That's the first thing anybody in any bracket should do, any role.
Check the lanes. That's like a golden rule.
Yep,
check
it is.
Lanes.
Our lanes pushing for us, against us. How does that affect me? Which one should I take? If so, if they're all pushed, can I go do something? If they're all pushed, do I jungle? You know, not only learning what they're doing, but then how that influences your next decision is all Dota is, actually.
You know what's so funny, Coach? I want to share a story regarding this, because it's kind of it's kind of keying in properly. I had a player, because I stream regularly, and I have a player. His name's Ice, good guy Ice. And when I played with him, he was Archon, right?
Okay.
And one thing I remember about him was we would always tell him, "What are you doing all the way over there?
Okay.
We should fight." And I remember team fights and everything, like, yo, Ice, what are you doing? Wait, he's pushing the lane. He's basically always pushing the lane. Right?
Yeah.
I remember many instances within the past 6 months where it's either my teammates, "What are you doing? What are you doing here? Why are you pushing? You should be with us." He always was pushing the lane all the time.
Okay.
That player now, 6 months then, is now a divine player.
I believe it. I 100% believe you there.
He is now a divine player. Out of all the people I played with when I just started this, Ice, if you're watching, what's up, man? He would always prioritize. He was just somewhere in the lane pushing. I'm like, "What are you doing? We're supposed to fight, man."
At my bracket, it obviously becomes a bit more complicated than that.
Yeah.
But to some extent, I believe almost any role could get out of any, make it probably all the way to 6K with the simple understanding that if I push lanes better than them, I'll win more games. And as long as the lanes are pushed, I'm willing to fight. If the lanes are not pushed, I'm not willing to fight.
If the lane is if the lane is push, I'm willing to fight. If the lane's not push, I'm not willing to fight.
Yes.
Dude, like
It's like usually it's like if you're winning, it's like 2 out of 3. You know, you want 2 out of 3 lanes pushed for you. So it's like later on in the game, right?
It's just so fun. It just kind of clicks. I'm just like, Ice was just doing the right.
That's
thing.
all he did. That's all he did was push lanes,
we were
man.
flaming him for no reason.
There was a
And
game
I'm
I
still
won
here.
yesterday with Gunner on my team. The kill score, we were losing like 45 to 20. But we just pushed lanes all game, and we ended up winning at like 60 minutes in or some shit. We were just losing by double the kill count, and it just doesn't matter if the lanes get pushed. Because if the lanes aren't pushed, then they can kill you all they want, but they aren't going to get any objectives. So in that case, by the way, you can tell your Spectre to walk a bit forward in lane and tank the wave for you. Like, she could walk, instead of doing what she did, she could walk to right here.
Okay.
So what that does is she's going to intercept this next creep wave and block, for, like, so that this pull works for you.
Oh, okay.
You see what I'm saying? Because this pull doesn't work because of this.
Because, they ended
So it's
up,
something you can tell your carry to do, since especially you party queue a lot.
Okay, I'll tell him that, yeah. Okay, I was like...
Just an option, right? Just something to remember.
That makes sense, I'm saying.
Carry players in my bracket know that kind of shit, but like it's definitely important that as a support, that's the type of communication you can do. You want to pull, you know something your carry can do to help you pull, and you go do it. Okay, so you have Spectre against Medusa Drow. You don't really... Okay. My question for you right now is, does Spectre generally want heroes to be near her or away from her at this stage in the game?
At this stage in the game, I would say, because Spectre can hunt and get away from people if they get things, I would say away from her.
Okay, then what the hell are you and your ogre doing?
I plan to leave. We were just going to leave here, but yes, we basically you're saying we should have left sooner than later.
Yes, so what hero on your team is a hero you might want to play with, and why?
Mars.
Why?
Mars or Shadow Fiend.
But why Mars specifically?
Because we can get kills with him.
And he has like a big team fight ultimate that's available, right?
Yes, which is perfect with my ultimate.
So at what point should you have left this lane?
I would say just before the coming from your every night around the 9-minute mark, maybe.
I don't know. When
That's
did Mars
what
hit 6?
When
Let's see.
when did he hit?
I would have left at 7 minutes.
Really?
Yeah, you leave your lane at
now
7
this
minutes.
Is something...
This is a new concept for you, buddy.
This is a new coach. This is a different place. I'm like, this is unfamiliar territory.
understand.
I
I
thought I
understand.
had to pull till 10 minutes.
So,
I was like, I was gonna.
Yeah. I want you to embrace that what you were doing just in this game was taking me word for word. And that's acceptable. Okay? Like, I want you to understand that you taking me word for word here is perfectly fine. Because at your bracket, like, with all due respect, it's like, I want you to know things that are important, like pulling, like contesting the big camp, like getting runes, like all the things we've talked about already. But now we're going to talk about a crucial concept that every carry player has to learn and every support player has to learn. And every offlaner has to learn too. When to leave your lane. So,
Familiar territory.
a lot of this comes down to some hero on your team is a do shit hero. If you don't have a do shit hero, then that itself is important to recognize. Meaning, like, none of your heroes stun. Like, say this guy's like a Necro or, you know, a Venomancer or something. You know, he doesn't really stun. At that point, the Dota game becomes a bit more complicated. Do I have barbecue sauce on my face? I can't see.
Coach,
I don't?
I think you're fine.
Okay, we're reasonably clean. Nice.
But you're 9K, man.
Yeah, either way, who gives a shit, right? I'm 9K.
Yeah,
Who gives a
it
shit?
just-
I'm above that. I'm above those
it
common
cleans
concerns.
itself. When you
Exactly.
become 9K, the barbecue sauce just goes
Yeah,
away.
your
So
face
I'm
has an
not supposed
automated
to be
cleaning gene,
at
yeah.
this man's face. I'm gonna leave. That's what the barbecue sauce.
The barbecue sauce respects you. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just like I'm gonna go away. 8K, nah, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna chill. 9K,
So-
going away.
The cool thing about this, Ari, is I'm going to confidently tell you that most supports, even in like 4K, 5K, very rarely rotate. They tend to start learning how to rotate, though, around 3 to 4K. Like, they understand they're supposed to rotate. So for you, I want you to know that everything I instructed you on reigns true for like the first 5 minutes of almost every game. And the first time you have to consider leaving your lane is the 5-minute catapult. Okay, that's the first time you have to consider leaving your lane.
This was the replay you sent me. This was the replay you sent me.
Remember? So
I was watching that. I was like, why did he leave at 6-7 minutes? Like, what happened?
It's the catapult, man, the first one. But the point being is you have a carry that can haunt from across the map. And not only can she haunt across the map, but like even if she's not level 6 yet, who makes you stronger in a fight? Like, if you're paired with them, would you rather be paired with a Spectre or a Mars?
A Mars.
A Mars, right? Like, that's who makes you stronger.
Down.
As a support, your efficacy as a support is pretty much determined by the guy you're helping.
Can you say that again?
Yeah,
Coach?
your efficacy, like how effective you are, is determined by the strength of the person you're playing around.
That is true.
Very rarely are you the stronger guy, right? Like, you're the guy that's helping the stronger guy.
Yes.
Oh, and at this stage in the game, you have to start considering who's the guy on my team that makes me the strongest. Is it the Spectre or is it the Mars? I would argue this Drought should fucking die 5 times. Like, every time Mars has ultimate, this guy dies off cooldown. Like, that's what I think should happen. I'm pretty sure if Mars pushes R, this guy gets stuck in place. You're there with your Q, because you have mana. And I would argue you or Ogre is enough. Like, me as a Mars right now, in my bracket, I would be fuming. I would probably be trying to solo kill this guy. Because this guy is so fucking dead to me, this Drought player. Like, Mars Arena is one of the most powerful abilities in the game, and the only hero in their team that can get out of it is nobody. Like, nobody can walk out of it. Like, whenever I pick Mars, the enemy mids always pick, like, Ember Spirit or Morphling, you know, some hero that has a mobility spell that gets them out of Arena. But, like, so this is something you can start gauging. This is a high-level concept. But, like, if you were to want to start practicing this, I would play with an offlane player who picks the same hero every game.
Okay.
Like, you would say, hey, buddy, do you mind just picking Mars 5 games in a row?
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Haas, if you're watching, please.
Yeah, let's practice Ren to rotate to my Mars. So, like, that's something that will help you a lot, because these rotations are not only understanding your carry hero, but they're also understanding your other heroes, right? So I talked about how a lot of support play is about understanding the core heroes on your team. So, like, if I were to ask you, Barry, like, your humble guardian opinion here, what does SF's game look like for, like, 5 minutes till 10 minutes? What is he doing? Best description you can give me.
He's at mid, going back and forth creeps, 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He's basically at mid, getting creeps.
Okay.
Maybe.
And if you were to ever gank for him, what does he offer for you?
If I were to gank, he offers me more damage.
He offers a lot of damage.
Yeah.
So what did we say was combined to get kills? This was way back in our first season.
Say that again, Coach?
Way back in the first season, we said there were 2 things required to get kills. What are they?
Paired with a good carry.
Stuns and damage. Stuns and damage.
Stuns and
damage. Are you stuns or damage at this stage of the game?
I am stunned.
I disagree. I think you're mainly about this spell. I think taking a point in this is wrong, by the way. We talked about this, I think, when we were talking about Jakiro.
Oh, yeah. Two dual, and yeah.
Yeah, because dual breath literally doubles in damage from level 1 to 2, and it goes up 10 mana, right? So it's all efficiency. I think there's really no exceptions to putting 2 points in dual breath. I think you always have at least 2.
So it's 1-3-1 always. Okay.
What do you mean 1-3-1?
Dual breath, level up 1, then 3, then 1.
Oh, yes. You level 1 and level 3. Yeah. I was confused what you meant there.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So yeah, it's really important that you understand your hero's more like. Is your stun a reliable stun? No, it's an unreliable. It's like a follow-up stun, right?
It's a follow-up stun. Yes.
So like, if somebody else stuns them, they're now locked in place. You then stun them. That's what you're here.
I then stun them.
So
I need people to initiate first.
You need people to initiate stuns for you. So your hero, does it pair well with what Shadow Fiend does in terms of ganking?
does my hero pair with Shadow Fiend? Because he initiates damage. It makes it easier to land my stun. Yes, I would
By
say
him
so.
damaging them, it makes it easier to land your stun? What makes it easier to
By
land your stun?
Wait, I'm sorry. I have a question. Is
Yeah.
Shadow Fiend in essence a initiating hero?
No, not at all.
Okay, so he's a backline nuker, right?
Well, he can go in, but do you know what item he builds to go in or no?
No, coach.
He builds Yules. Because what it
Yes,
allows him
and
to
he
do
does
is
his
Yules him and then push R and the guy
do that.
blows up,
Yes,
right?
yes,
So this guy
okay,
is
that
not
he
an
did.
initiator until he buys Yules.
Okay.
Because the hero's kit innately has no disables. Like, his ult is technically a fear, you know, but it's like, it makes them run away. It's not actually, like, locking them in place. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Do you
I'm
know his
trying
ult's
to
a fear? I know there's a lot of heroes in Dota, so I'm not trying to assume anything. Do you know what SF ult does?
The fear. No, not really. I know that gets people to go. What does it do? Coach?
So I'll show you at some point in the game. That's what I'll do. I'll make sure
Yeah.
the first SF ulti I see, I'll show you.
Yes.
But either way, this is fun because it's funny to know. Like, I don't know exactly what you know or don't know. So
This is
like
this is a lot of things that I'm realizing on it. There's so many things to
yeah, no, I
realize.
know. So what I want you to work on moving next week, right? Talking about
Yeah.
this replay, is the big camp for the first 5 or 6 minutes, right? First and foremost,
Yes,
you're gonna
that
learn
I'm
to
working-
plug all these other things you're doing because a lot of these other things you're doing are very good. Okay, so
Yes.
let's just plug those things in while making sure they don't pull the big camp. And then what I'm gonna tell you to do is to play with the same player at least 5 games in a row where you're both playing Jakiro and Mars. Okay, like you're playing Jakiro, he's playing Mars, and you're going to try to hone. You're gonna tell him, "Hey man, let me know when you're 6, and I'm gonna look to come to your lane."
Okay.
And we're gonna see when you rotate and set up those kills and stuff. Because I'll tell you, just from my own knowledge, if I was a Mars, all I need is one support that offers a bit of damage, and this guy's gonna die. Like, that's what I would know. Because Mars has all the disable in the world. His arena's a really strong disable against any hero that can't get out of it, which Drought cannot get out of it.
Absolutely.
And all he needs is a little bit of extra damage for that guy to die full to 0. Like, that's all he needs. So,
Coach,
go ahead.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
What hero? Of course, this is coming from yes. If Mars is 6, we rotate. What hero? It's just a curious question. Would have to be in my lane to not rotate. That's someone who can't take care of herself or himself properly. Yes.
For the most part, yes, yeah. So maybe a Drow.
So if it were a Drow, I would have to kind of babysit
A bit more,
little
yes.
bit more, and maybe stay until 10.
Yes.
Okay.
So the
If
nice
it
thing
was a
about
more-
Drow, my question is, what are like strengths and weaknesses of Drow? Let me hear what Drow does well in your opinion.
Drow is a really good backline hero that deals a lot of damage from a
Okay.
distance. And
So if
has
they
a really good silence.
If they try to kill Drow, and you save
Yeah.
her, will she help you kill them after you've saved her?
I would say yes.
She absolutely would.
Yes.
So she's a hero you naturally sit behind, and if they go on her, you save her, and then you turn to kill people. That's how Drow functions as a hero, right? Like, if that makes sense, now that I've laid it out for
does,
you,
it
that
does.
makes sense, right? So Drow's
Yes,
naturally a hero that wants you to play near her if she needs you, because she can't really protect herself, but if protected, she does a shit ton of damage.
She kills everyone.
Yes, if you compare that to like a Spectre, who's actually very survivable with Dagger. Like, she has a passive that makes her tankier. She has a Dagger spell that's like allows her to run into trees and stuff. But all she offers to you is a Dagger slow. Like, that's all she offers to you as damage and contribution. She doesn't really help you turn the fight. And she's already pretty self-sufficient. So she's a hero that very rarely wants you to play near her. Very rarely. On the other hand, Drow helps you counter gank a lot. But if we compare something like Drow to an Alchemist, if you try to gank for him, say they try to kill Alch, right? Say the enemy team tries to kill your own Alch, and you save him. Are you turning that into a kill with your Alch at like 5 minutes into the game? Is your Alch going to help you kill them?
No.
He ain't going to do shit. He's an Alch with, that walks around hitting for 60 damage, right? He doesn't do anything.
He's gonna gonna go to the camp. Thank
Yes,
you for
so
dying.
these are the
He's gonna go-
heroes like Alg. I would rather you protect them with wards, or maybe you take the more dangerous farm that is then protecting them. You're not actually protecting them by sitting with them. Like, they don't help you, because if you save them, all you're doing is saving them. You're not going to get any kills off of it. You're not going to turn that into any objectives or anything like that. Does that kind of make sense as like a general
what I'm-
description? Go ahead.
Yes, what I'm getting now is learning to profile my carries.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Like, I think that's it. There are factors about a carry. If I want to simplify this as
Yes.
best as I can, right?
Yes, go ahead.
It's just about profiling my carries. What characteristics do they have that make me want to play around them, play away from them, leave them alone, play with them, ward for them? It's these things. So that's my way of like, all right, I'm gonna try to profile them in a way. What do they do? What do they not do? And this is what it's gonna define me playing with them or playing around them.
So an example of this would be that so what you said is correct. If your Mars has no ultimate and your Spectre has already used her ultimate, so she can't be anywhere on the map, she's locked where she is. Maybe at that point it might be better to play around Spectre because Mars doesn't help you all that much right then, and your Spectre may need to be defended.
That is true.
But then the second Mars ulti's up again, you should probably go look to play with him again.
Yes.
Because he's like a strong threat every time his ultimate's off cooldown, right? So this is something that changes a lot based on cooldowns and stuff. Go ahead.
You know what this teaches me, Coach?
Yeah.
There's absolutely no excuse to do nothing in Dota.
Oh, absolutely not.
There
Your
is,
brain
like,
can't take 30 seconds off. You can't take 30 seconds off in a game of Dota. Like, that's why, for me, it's so exhausting to stream Dota. Like, it's a good exhaustion, right? But your brain can't turn off.
You know, it's just there, but I feel my mind gets such a workout, so it feels
Oh,
really
absolutely.
good. Like now, like processing things, I noticed my processing is a lot better than it was before I really played Dota this much. I'm just like, I'm looking at the benefits of what it does to me. I'm just like, you're a lot more you can process things a lot more than usual. So
Have you noticed
Yeah,
it apply in other things than Dota or just Dota?
other things.
Yeah,
Other
absolutely.
things. The way I go about my day, the way I process work stuff,
Isn't
organize
it crazy,
things.
man? Dota
looking
teaches
at a
life
problem.
lessons, bro. I don't
Yeah, it does. No,
I 100%
it
believe that.
really does.
I've
I
preached that a
agree
lot
with
in my like podcasts with monkeys and stuff. We talk about how like
Yeah.
Dota bleeds into our real lives, and like
No,
the funny
but-
thing is that you mentioned you're learning to process faster.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me, BSJ, like, I can barely stand 3 or 4 games of Dota a day. How do you play 10? And I'm like, well, how does the cross country runner run 10 miles or 20 kilometers? How do they run that far? It's like, because they started at 1 and then they worked their way to 2, then 3. It's like Dota is it's a mental game. You said your brain is exhausted. Like you're like, holy crap. I have to think about so many things. And whenever I'm recommending to somebody when they're getting better at Dota is don't use games that you're not thinking. It's a waste of your time. It's creating really bad habits. Play as many games as you can while you are thinking at full capacity. Like while you are in tune with the game. Like you don't feel like you're distracted. You don't feel like you can't function at your highest level. You are honed. You know what I mean?
And I'm starting to feel the difference of when that is how I feel and when I don't. And I think that's very important as well. If you can
Self-awareness
define-
is huge, man.
if you can define the difference of when you're playing like at that level and define the difference when you're okay, I'm really not here right now, I think that's a really big step forward as well. And I know the difference. I'm just like, all the times where I would say, I think we almost lost all these games where my team, we are doing maybe nothing for about 15, 20 seconds. There's a moment when you notice, like, we're actually doing like nothing for like 20 seconds. We lose the game.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely,
because
man.
We lose, man. I'm just like, and it's frustrating. Like this doing nothing thing is just like, it's frustrating. And I also noticed that we should definitely always play our own game. And what makes when we're playing against a really good team that moves around the map, I'm noticing, and this is me as a 5. I'm
Yep.
noticing when my team is playing hesitant
Oh,
because they're
absolutely.
feeling the pressure of proper movement from our opponents, or just like before we're like, oh, we're moving, we're clean, we're just getting this well. But when our opponent is starting to, move the right way, make all the right calls, make all the right rotations, I'm seeing these are people I usually play with, how it's affecting them. I'm like, oh, they're actually hesitating with decisions, and I'm just like,
Dude, when you're not the one dictating what's going on in the game, Dota's a hard freaking game, man. It's all about who thinks faster than the opponent. So I would say this smoke is good.
yes,
It's just about 4 minutes late.
4 minute. I got you, coach. I
So
get you.
better late than never know, though. So I really like your idea with it. It's great.
Yeah, I initiated. You want to smoke? I was like, yeah, let's go to smoke. And
You guys,
yeah, I
you
initiated-
guys smoked to the right place. So the reasoning you came to there, try to realize literally minute 0 when you think that would happen. Meaning, like, when you load into the game with your 5 heroes and their 5 heroes, you could be fully aware that you go to Mars when he's 6. Like, that is knowledge someone like myself would have. Like,
Okay.
I can tell you at minute 0, based on matchups, that I'm supposed to go to Mars's lane when he's 6. So
Okay.
so what I'm saying is, it's not saying, Airy man, I expect you to know this shit. It's like, I'm telling you that this is all premeditated stuff that you'll learn to look for, and rather than having to figure it out in the middle of the game, you're just gonna wait for itself to happen. Like, you're just gonna be like, oh, Mars is 6, I'm gonna go help him now. Like, and every time you're thinking, what should I do in the game? You will pan your window to see what level Mars is. You're gonna like go click on Mars and see how he's doing. And if you see your Mars is level 4 and the Drought's level 6, Mars had an ass lane, he lost really hard, then you'll be like, maybe I'm not going to Mars this game. It seems like he's too weak. And I guess since Mars is our only playmaker, we can't really do anything until SF gets a Yules. And you'll be like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to play super chill until this guy gets a Yules. And then once he gets a Yules, maybe you'll do the same smoke to him rather than to Mars.
And these are only things I'll understand the more I play.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm giving
It's
you an
just-
example of my thought process, but that's exactly how it goes, right? Like, it's like...
Yeah, this is just only like the playing around my different heroes. I mean, like, let's just reset. I just really I don't even know what fear does. Like that's like
Yes.
it's just experience. It's just experience.
Let's
I mean,
fast forward here, actually. I'll show you SF. So his ult has a really long channel time. So, oh, okay, here it is, here it is.
that one I
Let's
know. that one.
rewind here. I fast forwarded too fast.
He uses
So he uses, gives him the time to set up, you stun, and then the guy has to run away. Oh, he got stunned too. What fear is that the person runs towards their base. That's what fear causes you to do. It makes you... What?
Kind of like what's your name? Kind of like what's her name? The support with the spikes.
Dark Willow.
Dark Willow, yes.
Okay, so I'm actually wrong. With SF, it makes you run away from him. So if he feared right here, like if she was on this side of him, she would run that way. Like she'd run up here.
Oh, so he SF dictates the direction.
Yes,
Willow-
but with Lone Druid and Willow, who both have fears, it's actually directing you towards base. Like that's where you'll run.
Got you.
So like wherever Willow fears you, your hero will just take the path to get back to their base the quickest.
So if SF was there towards the tower, then this Medusa would.
Yeah, he could have tried to make her run herself towards your buildings. Yeah, he could have tried to do that. But I think this gank was honestly fine. I think this is a reasonable gank by you guys. It just doesn't quite work out. So I'm perfectly fine with this move.
Kite back.
So I'm going to go ahead and
Those
play back
kite
on you.
backs are just like fun to just understand. I'm like, it feels great to understand like kiting, and I'm like, okay, going back, we're supposed to go back. I'm slowly learning it now. As
Yeah,
well.
you
like,
used all your abilities. You got to wait for your cooldowns to be up again. Oh, you came back to your Mars. This is great. These are great rotations. Playing
check it
around
out.
the right heroes. What's up?
And he used his ravage.
Yeah, that was a desperation ravage. But people make all types of mistakes like that when they're getting ganked, right? When they're getting pressured, when they're being surprised, caught off guard. People make all kinds of stupid mistakes like that. Even in my bracket, I myself included. Like if somebody outplays me, it takes a higher MMR player to outplay me. But if they outplay me, I look really stupid. That's the beauty of Dota. I can look just as stupid as you do as long as I'm playing against somebody who's better than me, right?
That's what I've known. Yeah, the pressure. You get pressured. And then you're just uncomfortable. And you're not playing. Yeah, and next thing you know, you're just doing all sorts of things. We do another smoke, coach?
I'll make this a rule for you, okay, buddy?
Okay, but
You take a tower,
yeah.
you are not allowed to hit the creep wave with the guy that's with you. Ever.
Okay.
So what I mean is
I
that your
thought-
Mars and SF are hitting this creep wave. You're just not
Yes.
allowed to ever touch these creeps. If your
Okay.
if you have a core that's hitting the creep wave, you're just not allowed to hit them. We might have to
Okay.
retract this way down the road, but I want
Yes.
it to be something for now that I just, set in stone as you are not allowed to do this. Okay?
wait.
So all it is giving the opponent extra information. You're spending time doing something one of your teammates is already doing, and it's effectively just inefficient because of those two reasons. So
thought
I
it was
would
because to
go
get
ahead.
experience, but I thought it was to give him the experience. But what you're saying is it just shows where I am in the lane and is giving information to my opponent.
I want you to realize your hero represents something to the opponent team. I want you to think to yourself every time an opponent hero shows on the map what that means for you. Like, if you know where Pudge is, what does that mean to you?
Yeah.
I'm asking you right now, like, what does that mean to you right now? If Pudge shows on the map, what does that mean to you? Like, say you see Pudge top right now. Would you feel safer defending mid if he shows top?
Yes.
You would feel
Yes.
safer in general because he's a ganking hero, right?
Yes.
So Medusa and Drought, they're kind of like the tower hitting ranged heroes, right?
Yes.
So if either of them are showing on a creep wave, it makes it more likely for their teammates to be near them. Because Drow's a hero that likes her teammates to be playing around her, and she's a hero that hits buildings. So it's like every hero in the game tells you something. Spectre, as an example, tells you that the enemy team's likely not near her. Not always. Like, I'm not saying the enemy team couldn't be behind Spectre, but if you see Spectre farming top lane right now, say you're the opponent, and Spectre is farming top lane, doesn't that tell them, if they think about it, that you guys are likely not there?
Yes. We're there.
That. Go ahead.
No, this is a big thing, coach. This is a wait. I gotta write the shit down.
Is this some epiphany from Ari here?
No, this is something. No, because this is assuming everyone's playing effectively, right? Because we gotta assume everyone's playing effectively.
Absolutely. And if they're not
Right.
playing effectively, what does that mean for you?
That's good for us.
Yeah, it's just good for you. So people are like, BSJ, what if they just
Yeah,
don't
these
play the
guys
way
aren't
I
very
expect
good,
them to?
Yeah, these guys aren't very good.
Yeah, it's just like, well, if I know they're not supposed to be playing with Spectre and they have 4 people behind Spectre, then aren't they just wasting their fucking time? Like, isn't that just a waste of time?
Hey, free MMR. Yeah, basically, it's a good thing. Yeah, I'm gonna make a sandwich while I'm playing. Yeah, basically. Okay. Wait. This is important.
Yeah, what were you going to say? Sorry for interrupting you there.
No, this is an important thing because that before it was always me just processing. Okay, Drow is here. Let's go there. Or Drow is here. Let's go to her. Or it's just. But now what you've added here was you gotta also understand if Drow is here, then more likely maybe there's one core with her as well, because that's what you do with Drow, so and so, depending on the circumstance of the game. So that sort of perspective will give me more. That sort of thinking just gives me more information.
Absolutely. The beauty of this is it all stems from you understanding your own heroes. So, and then
Yes.
all you have to do is reverse psychology it. So it's like you understand how Spectre works. If your Spectre is showing top, you can actually know the opponent knows you're probably not there. Or if there's a Spectre on the opponent team next game, and you see a Spectre showing bottom, you can likely assume that her team is not there. Like,
That is huge.
isn't that crazy? Like, my point from this entire conversation, though, is when you hit this creep, it tells me, like, if I'm watching anybody, it tells me that you put no value on showing your hero in lane. Like, that just means nothing to you,
No,
right?
that's not even something I understand.
That's
I don't even know.
that's my point. I don't expect you to understand Dota at a remotely like my level of like understanding each hero. That's not obviously an insult. It's just like I've played a shit ton of Dota,
No,
right?
no, of course.
So it's like I want you and everyone watching to start understanding that every time your hero icon pops up on the map to the enemy team, you are giving them something. You are giving them information, and it helps them make easier decisions, even if they don't realize it. So that doesn't mean that I never show on creep waves. That means that I only show on creep waves if I have to.
Coach, this is a bit of a well, this is a very Guardian noob question.
Absolutely.
What is your definition? How do you know when you're showing? Is there an indicator with the range?
Creeps have vision on them. Creeps, when you attack a creep, it shows you. And creeps all have a vision range. So, I believe it's 500. I actually just know this by feel. I actually don't know it by exact number. 1 second. People are not going to see your face for a second here.
It's no worries. It's good because I'm zoomed in, like looking at the vision in the map.
Dota creep vision. I'm actually curious what it is. I'm pretty sure it's 500. Vision Dota 2 creeps. Lane creeps. Oh, 800. Holy crap, I'm way off there. 800.
100?
So, to tell you, your night vision is what a creep's vision is. You know what's so funny about that? Is I say 500, that's the aggro range of creeps. I know exactly based on feel how far creeps can see, and I was still wrong about the value. But yeah, how far you can see at nighttime is how far creeps can see.
How far? I'm gonna freaking measure that.
Yeah. You can run around in a private lobby with cheats on and put Dota range display is one of the commands, and you can put Dota.
Bro.
Go ahead.
Dota range display. This is huge.
Let me see. Dota. I think it's underscore.
Coach.
Range. Or where is it here? Yeah, range display. Dota underscore range underscore display. You have to be in a private lobby, otherwise it won't work in a regular game. With cheats on, and then just type the number.
Okay, got it.
And then type the number. And that if you type 800, it'll show a circle around you, and you'll know if any creep is in that circle, it sees you.
And that's a good way to measure.
And that's a good way. Yeah.
Way to simulate. Oh shit. Okay, let me do that. Private lobby practice.
You can just run around pushing creep waves and see if you're in vision or not, based on where you are.
I'm gonna do that. I'm just like, this is what it does. Okay, all right.
So the benefit of playing a hero like Jakiro is you can use your nukes from far enough away that the creeps actually don't see you. So all the opponent will see is a wave getting pushed, but they don't actually see you doing it. At the highest level, that kind of shit matters. Because they would have to physically move their camera to the bottom wave to see your abilities on the ground to know you're there.
And that's why you have those really quick scanning clicks. Like,
Yep.
I see those moves. I'm like,
like when I'm against PA, I know I have to manually click creep waves a lot because she has her third spell that makes her invisible to enemy heroes. And I can see the creep wave just dying out of thin air. And I'm like, oh, I guess there's a PA there.
But you did that in a microsecond.
But yeah, I have to go check it. Yeah.
I see all these pros with like, I'm just like, why?
But that's because we know exactly what to look for on creep waves, because like for most of us, we know how important it is for people to be showing. But if we're against PA, we know she's not going to physically show, so we actually have to go click on the creep wave to see if she's there. And that's just one hero out of 120, right? Like Dota's hard.
What a great first MOBA that I've
chosen. you picked the perfect game. It's so easy.
The perfect one for the first, man. Yeah, for
so
chat,
all
by the
I'm
way,
telling you from this
ever MOBA I've ever played, yeah.
1 second, sorry. All I'm telling you from this entire lesson, this last part here, is that every time you walk onto a creep wave, it occurs to you that you're showing on a creep wave. Like that matters to you. Like that matters to you. Every single time you show on a creep wave, you can ask yourself, do I need to be doing this? Could I have not done this? Could I have nuked from far enough away that they didn't even see me in the first place?
Is this information something I'm willing to give the opponent?
Mm-hmm. And every time you're playing a hero, think to yourself, what does my hero do in regards to the opponent? And I kind of told you, your hero is a follow-up ganker, right? Yes. Like, you help your team push if you guys get to a tower, and you help your team gank if they stun them for you. So, example for you, if I were to see a Jakiro in this game, I would think if Jakiro is off map, like I don't see you, I don't know where you are, Mars is much more of a threat to me than he would be otherwise. Like, if you're showing mid and Mars is bottom, as a carry, I may be willing to farm the creep wave because I know you're not there. But the second you're missing, I'm like, oh, shit. Like, if Jakiro's behind this Mars, I'm just going to die, so I can't go there.
and it's unsettling to not see.
Oh, it
anyone
is very unsettling. Dota at the highest level is like 80% information, dude. Like that's all. That's why the creep wave pushing is so important, because creeps pushing into towers is them giving you
Is it-
vision of what the opponents are doing or not.
You know what's so funny, Coach? I
Yeah.
came onto this myself just recently. This realization. I'm like, when I don't know what to do, and sometimes there are those stalemate moments in Dota, right?
Oh,
Where
absolutely.
we're both playing well, and we're just like, now it just comes to like if we get a pick off or not. And it's always like, all right, if we want to get a pick off, guys, remember saying this on stream a few days ago, just push all the lanes and let's just wait till someone shows up.
The lanes are a beautiful way that the opponent is predictably going to react to. Like, you know they're going to react to it. They don't have a choice. Like, they're just losing golden net worth and tower damage if they just ignore the creep waves. So eventually, if you just push creeps all the time and they never show on creep waves, then like you're just going to have 10,000 net worth lead. Who cares?
So, Coach, something that I thought, Wind Ranger is a type of hero that is really more just gets kills on her own.
Yeah.
So if I see Wind Ranger on the map, she's more likely alone. Yes, like especially at a certain point in the game.
When it comes to supports or cores with solo kill threat, I wouldn't necessarily think that way. I would think if Wind Ranger shows on the map, wherever I would be scared to run if she was missing, I can go there now. So like the thing about Spectre and Drow is they're not kill heroes. They're the ones that are carrying the game, right? So
Yes.
I think of them based on how they affect their teammates, right? Because they're carries. They don't actually kill me. They're just
Yes.
carries. But with Wind Ranger, if you're talking about a hero with a lot of kill threat, rather than thinking if she's alone or not, I would be thinking, wow, I would never feel safe to walk up and ward their jungle if Wind Ranger was missing. But since I see her top, I now feel safe to walk places I would not feel safe enough to go.
Which is bottom, right?
Which is anywhere else. I'm just saying that, like, you know, you're scared of this hero. This hero kills you. Like, if if it's any hero in the game that you're scared of killing you, by them showing, you're like, oh, I'm safe to go somewhere they're not. As long as they're not there, I'm good to go there.
And we can make a smoke gank and just
Yeah, you can make a smoke gank. Maybe you can just walk somewhere. Like, a lot of people, even in my bracket, don't realize that if the opponent's giving you too much information, even if you think the enemy has wards somewhere, if their entire team is showing somewhere else, you can just walk there. Like, because you know they're not there.
You know what's so funny, Coach? I just had a moment, like just a few days ago, where we were going up. They were obviously smurfing, and they were a good team.
Okay.
And I'm just like, wow. And I remember telling myself, this was on stream with my team, guys, these guys are so good. No one's showing on lane.
Nobody, we don't know where anybody is.
No one is, but on my level, Guardian around Archon or maybe even Legend, like everyone's showing up.
Oh,
They're
I'll
like,
do coaching
"Hey, what's up,
sessions.
dude?"
I'll do coaching sessions where someone in your bracket has like a Lion Skywrath supports.
Yeah.
And the two guys will be farming creep waves together. I'm sorry, I got something stuck in my throat. But I'm like, this Lion Skywrath, they could kill literally anyone on the entire enemy team, and they're farming a creep wave together. Like,
they're like saying, "What's up?" Yeah.
They're like, "Hey guys, don't come here. Hey, we're letting you be. You know, you're good." It's like, it's just so funny.
They're having a oh yo, what's up? They're all the time. Everyone shows up all the time. And when we were playing this team, it was just like no one's showing up in lane.
Holy shit, we don't know anything. Where are they? What are they doing? Shit.
Good. I was just like, these guys are good. These guys are good.
And that's why Dota, in my opinion, is not great to play against people that are far better than you, because there's so many little things like this that I could talk to you about all day that if they're doing them and you're not, you're just going to have this picture of the game where you're like, holy shit, we just lost. Like, you know, they're playing the map better than us. They're pushing waves faster. They're not giving us as much information. They're farming faster, you know, whatever. And
yes,
all of it adds up so quickly that you just lose. You're like, oh, I feel like we didn't do anything particularly wrong and the game's just over.
Yes, I have felt that. I just had a game like that just like 2 days ago, and it's just like, wow, they're at their tier 2, and it's like not even, it's like 15 to 18 minutes, and they're here, or just something. They're taking tier 2s, tier 3s already. I'm just like, wow, these guys are farming so fast. They're just so quick.
Yeah, and that's That's the beauty of all these little things I'm telling you, like habits to get into. It's like if you take a tower and your core is gonna farm that creep wave, get the fuck out. Like just leave.
Yeah,
Like
I get you.
your options here in this specific case is to like walk up and just ward this area or like ward over here, or to TP mid and just push this out real quick. Both of those are reasonable options for you rather than hitting this catapult.
It's so funny how these are all coming together, Coach.
Yeah. So the things that I'm trying to teach you are things that are good to do. So then when I see these scenarios where you're being inefficient, I can remind you why you're being inefficient in the sense that there's just always something to do, man. There's always something to do. Right? You were like saying that, there's just never a time to not do anything. And that's the beauty of Dota is that if one team thinks that way, then suddenly the other team's going to be so far behind in terms of like they just feel slower. All right? It just feels slower. And I love it, man. I'm constantly working on this kind of stuff because for me, it's like right now I'm at a point where what makes me feel so good is that if somebody's not top 100 in NA specifically, I straight up know I play the map vastly superior to them. I actually just know it. I feel it in my games. But then when I play against like Quinn, who's ranked 2, or Arteezy or Sumail, top 10 players, I can feel them moving around the map faster than me. And I'm like,
you can feel the pressure.
I can feel it, man. I'm like, damn. I'm like, I own these guys on map movements, and then I play against people like them, and I'm like, holy shit, they're actually like 10 times faster than the people that are ranked 150. And all the people watching my stream, they don't understand. It's just like, it's not like a wow, we're so smart, you don't understand thing. It's just like, holy shit, it's like running a race against a guy who's suddenly 10 times faster than all the other people you've been running races against, and you're like, well, how the hell do I keep up with this guy? So it's been like great practice for me. Yeah, go ahead.
But you know what they're doing, right? You know what they're doing. It's just that you know that they're doing it fast.
Oh, it's absolutely. At my bracket, a lot of it's not necessarily like me teaching people not to do the wrong thing. It's like I can come to the right decision in 2 seconds, and Arteezy will do it in a second and a half, and 50 decisions later, he's ahead of me by 30 seconds.
That's freaking.
You know what I mean? It's like that's how it works, and it's just like I've just learned that you have to learn to take shortcuts in regards to like. This is an example of a decision you make after taking a tower. So how do you make that shortcut happen? You know that after the tower is taken, you're going to have to make this decision. So you actually make the decision as you're taking the tower. So you're like killing the tower, and then by the time the tower is dead, you've already made your decision. And you go to the next thing.
To have that speed in processing.
I know, man. It's overwhelming. I love having these like theory crafting discussions with you, but like this is just a perfect example where the minute I see you go for this catapult, I'm like, I know he doesn't care about showing on lane, and I know he doesn't think about, the efficiency loss that he has by doing something. This is just an example, a blanket statement that you are doing something that someone else on your team is already doing. In any example, that is just inefficient, right?
And you size me up so quickly. You're just like back, just based on your experience, and you just having that wealth of, knowledge and experience coming from all your hours. Freaking, and you're just like, okay.
I feel the same way you do when somebody points something out to me. They'll point something out to me that I never realized was important, and I'll just be like, how did I play Dota for 6 years and just never realize how important this was? It's like, it's actually just nuts. That process really never ends. And the cool thing is the highest level players, they're still developing constantly. Dota has been increasing in skill levels, so even the top level players have to keep one-upping each other. They have to keep coming up with new ways to creatively do these things, because otherwise it becomes predictable and punishable.
It just shows you how great the game is. That it evolves that way.
Dota what I mean? Fanboy here, yeah.
Yeah, I hear you, man. This is me falling in love with the game at this. I'm 33 years old, man, and it's the first MOBA I've ever played, but it's just coming from seeing what you need to do, the kind of processing that you need to have. What's so funny? I just thought this was a really interesting conversation I had before. There is this institution here in the Philippines that works with kids and also adults in terms of processing.
Yeah.
Right? They're a very well-known school. I just forgot the name, but they do a lot of mental exercises. And they look to nurture everything, right? They look to nurture, and they give you all these processing exercises, right?
That's very cool.
And the owner of this school has 2 kids that play Dota.
Ha!
And this is okay. And this is someone. I was asking to the mom doesn't play Dota, right?
Okay.
And she understands how the mind works. She understands the principles. She's been developing kids and adults for years. She has like 8 to 10 years of experience educating kids in how to mentally be efficient. And I asked her a question. I said, okay, so in Dota, what do you think is what is the key factor in performing well in Dota? Do you know what she said?
How fast you process
So
things?
surprising. Emotional management.
Emotional management.
Yes.
Wow.
Emotional management.
That doesn't actually surprise me that much. I just, based on the topic of conversation, it surprises me a bit, but that doesn't surprise me at all that she would say emotional management.
She said emotional management.
I think there's so much logic required in Dota, and so many like a lot of it. When people say BSJ, you tend to overthink. I've realized that a lot of it is just feel, but that feel is derived from logic. Like,
yes.
I know I've been in this scenario before. I feel like I have to run mid here, or I feel like I have to, plant a ward deep in their jungle. I feel that, but that's based on logic and experience. And the second that you start worrying about your teammates, you start feeling like the game's over, you start getting emotionally distraught.
You get tilted.
Your decisions just go out the fucking window, man.
Logic goes out the window.
Yeah,
you can't look at things.
None of your experience matters anymore. I make my worst mistakes when I am flustered. Like, absolutely. All of my dumbass mistakes. And, like, the funny thing about my recent days is I've been focusing on, like, mentally staying centered, because what happened was I climbed to 8,900. I had one really bad day of tilt, like, really bad. Yeah. And I lost 300 MMR in one day. Like, I just I lost 9 or 10 games in a row. And for me, it's like, I realize if I'm focused on doing the next right thing at all times, I naturally win way more games than I lose. Like, I just win more games than I lose. And
I feel the same way. When I'm tilted, when I get a loss, when I'm playing for MMR, when I am playing for MMR, when I'm playing to get back my MMR, actually, Slinky,
gambler's fallacy there,
Yeah, it's like when I'm playing, it sounds like you're playing to get back your MMR. I'm like, oh, that is such a good way to put it. When you're playing to get back your MMR, you just lose more MMR.
You do.
Because you're not thinking about the game properly.
You're thinking about how you're going to lose the game because you're so, emotionally distraught about how you lost your last 4 games or whatever.
Yes. But anyway, coming from that, it's just, I think this is important as well, because for like, let's say chat watching, when you're just not in that mood, you're going to lose them in more, man. You're just, when you're not just that dialed in and just looking at things as they are and being at that really good state. And I know we've all felt it when we're just playing really well. We're like, man, I'm in the zone. Like, I see everything. I mean, coming from that varies in levels, of course. But that emotional state is really, really important.
Oh, it's very important. So just because we're coming to the end of this lesson, I want to make sure you have your concrete things to work on for the next couple weeks.
Here's what I have, Coach.
Go ahead.
Here's what I have. Okay. I will always naturally pull, of course, denies. That's important, but always contest the big camp.
Okay.
You want to see me contesting the big camp all the time on
100%.
The next replay. Like 100% contesting the big camp. That is what I will work on.
Okay.
I'm just gonna keep it as concise as possible. I don't want to do too much, but also, you are now gonna teach me when to rotate, when it's okay to rotate.
Yes.
To my hero. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play Jakiro 5 games. I usually play with Haas here a lot, so it's fine. I'm gonna ask him to play Mars all the time, and when I see him hit 6, that could be 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes, 8 minutes. I will rotate to his lane and start killing people.
Absolutely. And there's going to be some games that doesn't freaking work. And you're going to learn that Mars being 6 is a huge power spike, and sometimes power spikes don't matter. Like, sometimes in specific games, a power spike means nothing because of whatever circumstances happening in the game. Like, that power spike is not so powerful anymore. So my point, though, is, like, if you do that, you may run into some games where it just doesn't work. And that's great. Like, that's an awesome experience to know, because you don't even consider prior to this and talk with me how important it is to consider your offlaner's level 6, right? So, and you need to know that every game, that is a worthwhile consideration. I think what we're going to keep teaching you is the big camp is a worthwhile consideration. Going for as many denies as possible, worthwhile consideration.
Well, consideration,
Rotating to your offlaner, worthwhile consideration.
Worthwhile consideration.
Showing on the map, worthwhile consideration. Are these things something you consider at all moments in the game, in every game? No. But every game, you may have to think about these things at some point, right? So,
yes.
What would you? I'm going to let you finish. So, after rotating to your Mars, anything else?
Rotating to your Mars. Honestly, that's enough. Coach, I like
That's
these
good.
concise ones.
Yes.
Because I think if I do too much, then I end up just not taking
You
care of,
do
like,
none of it. I know that feeling entirely.
Yeah, and I like these little concise things. At least like after 2 weeks from now, I'm right. All right, this is what you want to see. Great. And okay, not showing on lane. I'm gonna do the what check? What is that cheat? I wrote it
Dota
down.
range display. Dota underscore range.
underscore display 800.
Yeah.
That is actually a really good practice session that I can do. Okay, yeah, these concise things are very, very helpful. And I think I have something to work on for like 2 weeks. Pulling, denying, rotating to your
Your pulls and denies were way better than last time. Let me be very clear.
Yes.
So that was palpable progress. I was happy to see. And we're going to try to put as much of the full picture together for like the laning stage in general as possible. So
yes, we will master the laning stage so that we can move on to other things. But for now, it's mastering
Yes.
the laning stage.
Yeah.
All right, coach. Congrats again on 9K.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure. And I look forward to 2 weeks. I have 2 weeks of this to work on.
You're going to nail it. I believe in you. Keep me posted like you did last time. I'll see you later, bud.
All right, coach. Take care.
I do apologize to people that I was eating for the majority of that remaining session. I was starving and I failed to order my food in time, so I hope it wasn't too much of a distraction and that you guys don't hate me too much, but those wings were fucking delicious. So I'll be right back. I'm just gonna clean my hands.